Hello everyone, I'm Kimberly Adams. Welcome back to Make Me Smart, where we make today make sense. It's Friday, October the 4th.
I'm Kyle Ryssdal. Thanks for joining us on the pod today and on the YouTube live stream. If you are here on this Friday afternoon, it's our weekly happy hour episode, Economics on Tap.
Yes, and because it's Economics on Tap, we're going to do some news, then we're going to play a game after the break, but first we're going to do some drinks. Kai, what are you drinking?
Well, so as you said yesterday, it is no longer September, so I should be having a beer. But we went to see Hamilton at the Pantages last night, and I didn't get home and get into bed until 11:30. Yeah, Hamilton was amazing, as it always is. But me and an 11:30 bedtime does not leave a whole lot of time for actual sleep before I get up. So if I had a beer now, I would be down and out by 4:15 this afternoon. So I grabbed this from the fridge. It's a Trader Joe's Tangerine Probiotic Sparkling Beverage. It is honestly kind of disgusting, but you know what? It's keeping me going. Cheers, everybody. What are you drinking?
Bummed at that for you, because this is like, your first Friday since you
I know.
did your Sober September, but
yes,
I'm sure you'll make up for it later. I, as you know, because you were sitting here when it happened, made a very fast cocktail in something like 2 minutes. It is bitters, of course, absinthe, rye whiskey, and pomegranate juice.
Oh, so it's almost a Sazerac, but not quite.
Yeah, almost. And I realized somebody mentioned me smoking drinks the other day, and I realized I haven't smoked a drink in a long time. So I brought out my little drink smoker, and I'm gonna go ahead and smoke it and see how that tastes.
Fire in the hole.
Fire, my fire extinguisher is nearby.
When you make a cocktail, do you measure or do you eyeball it?
It depends. So I've made enough Sazerac and Sazerac adjacent cocktails that I can eyeball that. But if I'm making a drink with like ingredients I'm not used to working with, or something that, is completely new for me, I will definitely measure. And if it's something I'm experimenting with, I'll generally start with like 1 part to 1 part, unless it's like a super strongly flavored liqueur. In case I'll do like 1 to 2. But yeah, it just kind of depends. But this one I just eyeballed it because I was in a rush. Yeah. Anyway, what's everybody else drinking?
There's a lot going on. Sweetwater Day Trip IPA for David Cohen. Ryan Simmons is having Tullibardine 228 Burgundy, favorite scotch. Stephanie Moore Fuller, Lapsang Souchong, which is a smoky flavored tea.
There's my smoky drink, smoking.
There's a mojito going for Bilbo. Jack Daniel's Southern Peach, keeping it simple for Lewis Smith. There's a lot going on.
Let's see what everybody, Michael today in Discord, 4 Roses Old Fashioned. Ryan having water, very healthy. Kyle with the apple cider, like that. Tamara's drinking a sun shower Riesling. Oh, someone says you look sunburned. Are you sunburned, Kai?
No, I'm not, but the house is red, and so that reflects onto me sitting here in the shed. I suppose I could pick the iPad up and turn around, but then everything would just go all cattywampus, so I will not do that.
Jeff has a Coney Island Mermaid Pilsner, and now had, past tense, is now drinking New York City tap water. David says many of my favorite breweries were destroyed by the flooding from Helene. Oh, that's awful.
Yeah.
Well, maybe if they've got like GoFundMes and things, we can get the beer from them. I would drink beer to help a brewery recover.
Absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely. Let's do some news. Do you have things to say, or would you like me to go?
I have things to say about October surprises.
Oh, interesting.
We have long suspected that there would be some kind of big news drop in October. This often happens leading up to presidential elections, where some big news item happens that meaningfully swings the election. And it's been fascinating how relatively little news coverage the new Jack Smith filings related to Trump's immunity case are being covered compared to the Comey letter. And yes,
Oh
they're
yeah.
very different stories and very different. And for folks who don't remember, the Comey letter was this letter released by FBI Director James Comey in October of 2016 that just threw a big wrench into Hillary Clinton's campaign, and many people think cost her the election. But, here nor there. Well, not here nor there, but
No,
that's something
yeah,
for
it's
his.
very here and it's very there, right?
Yeah, but in terms of whether or not that is the defining factor is something that
Yes, right,
historians are
right,
like
right.
literally still debating about.
That is true.
That was
That is true.
I was too
Yes,
dismissive of that point. It was a
yes.
very meaningful moment, covered all over the place, covered in a way that a lot of news organizations look back on now and think they did not do a good job and they did a disservice to the American public in the way that that was handled, and the sort of lack of skepticism of the timing and things like that.
Yep.
This, however, is a much bigger deal. It is it's not a letter, it's like an actual legal filing that matters in a legal criminal case that is ongoing. And it's not getting the same level of attention
Yeah.
because there is so much else going on. There are so many October surprises. There is a legit war going on in the Middle East that is escalating that looks bad for the Harris campaign, however you want to spin it. There is a devastating hurricane that is going to be a cause for judgment for how the Biden administration responds and therefore impacts Harris. And it's just interesting to me that there's so much going on that something that would otherwise be a bombshell is not really registering to the same degree. And some of that has to do with Trump himself and the fact that there has been so much shock. There have been so many bombshells. There have been so many just really shocking pieces of information coming out about how he carried himself on January 6th that I think people are unsurprised, but in the space of, as I think, how did you used to say it? Like, none of this is normal. If
Yeah.
we just put this in the broader context, this would be huge, right?
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I do wonder, so yes to all of that. I wonder though how much of the relative underplaying, because look, it's been on the front page of a lot of newspapers. It just hasn't been every article on the front page of every newspaper as
Which it was back
Comey's letter
then.
was. Oh yeah, totally was in 2016.
Hmm.
I wonder how much of that is the news organizations saying we blew, not saying, but acting like they're saying we blew it in 2016 and we have to be more measured this time. You know. Also, I don't remember what else was
I
going on in 2016. I don't know. I mean, there certainly
Her
was not this amount
emails.
of stuff. Yeah, yeah,
What was going on in 2016 was the effort by a lot of us in media, and I will not say that I was completely immune from this, to report the election the way that we always had, which is if you say something
right.
critical of one candidate, you got to balance that out with something
Yep.
critical about the other. And there was just such an imbalance, and people were trying
Yeah.
to get that balance by amplifying anything negative that came out about Clinton, because there were so many easy negative stories about the Trump campaign and not as many easy negative stories about the Clinton campaign at the time. And so that led to probably an over amplification plus some other things at play, misogyny,
Yeah.
that
Yeah. Totally.
definitely amplified all of those narratives. But I think this is an overcorrection. We're talking, I'm looking here at the MSNBC article, 167-page legal filing versus a one-page missive.
Yep.
And I
Yep.
think this is a bit of an overcorrection. And yes, you and I look at the Post in the New York Times and the Journal, and there were front page stories, but they often weren't the lead story. It wasn't the key photo in a lot of these places. And I just would encourage folks to take it seriously. There's a lot in there that
It's deeply serious.
is
Yeah,
wild,
totally.
deeply
Yeah,
serious.
it's wild,
Yeah.
it's deeply serious, and it matters. And I agree with everything you said. And it's, part and parcel of the media, generally speaking, not having really served the news consuming public well in the past 4 or 5 years, I mean,
Yeah.
truly,
Yeah.
maybe even longer than that.
What you got?
Speaking of which, mine are actually related. The first is an item from the Oklahoman newspaper out, obviously in Oklahoma. As you may or may not know, Ryan Walters, the superintendent of education out there, has said he wants a Bible in every classroom and he wants instruction conducted along biblical lines when subject matter dictates. The Oklahoman took a look at the RFP from the State Department of Education, the request for proposals, that is to say the bids for buying all these Bibles that they're going to have to do, which is a lot of Bibles. Here's the quote. According to the bid documents, vendors must meet certain specifications. Bibles must be the King James Version, must contain the Old and New Testaments, must include copies of the Pledge of Allegiance, Declaration of Independence, U.S. Constitution, and the Bill of Rights, and must be bound in leather or leather-like material. A salesperson at Mardell Christian and Education searched, and though they carry 2,900 Bibles, none fit the parameters. But the Oklahoman reports one Bible fits perfectly. Lean Greenwood's God Bless the USA Bible, endorsed by former President Donald Trump and commonly referred to as the Trump Bible. They cost $60 each online. The former president gets fees for his endorsement of that Bible. That's item number one. Put that in your back pocket. Item number two is related to the jobs report out this morning. 254,000 new jobs in this economy last month. The unemployment rate down to 4.1%. Blew everybody's expectations away. It was a blockbuster report. This following tweet is from Senator Marco Rubio, the senior senator from Florida, also the vice chairman of the Senate Intelligence Committee. He says, and I quote, "Another fake jobs report out from Biden-Harris government today," end of quote. Now, those two things leave me with two questions. Number one, what the hell happened to these people? That this is the way they act, that this is what they do, that this is what they require from their governments. I don't understand that. Truly, I don't. Marco Rubio is in an unbelievably sensitive position in this government, right? Vice chair of the Senate Intelligence Committee. He's one of the ones who gets called when there's big national security news, right? What's he doing with this? It's crazy. Number two, this is an observation, not a question. It's also deeply corrosive. It's so corrosive. And it goes to, in part, what you were saying about the way things have been covered now. You know, it's all just corrosive. It's corrosive of the democratic process. It's corrosive of the body politic. It's corrosive of trust in institutions. It's just unbelievable. And I don't know what
Because
to,
when
truly,
I
I don't know
see
what to do with it.
something like that, where you know that Marco Rubio knows better, you know he does. And
Totally.
the willingness to casually misrepresent
Yep.
meaningful government data to score political points. And I'm not talking about like little misrepresentations. This is a big misrepresentation
No, it's a big deal.
of the economic data. And the casualness with which it's done is as you said, corrosive, but it makes it so hard to, when they actually do come, if they come with serious proposals about anything, to believe it. It's the boy who cried wolf to the nth degree. It's like maybe 4 years from now or 3 years from now, maybe next year in the next Congress, Marco Rubio will come with a bill that could meaningfully do something to help the American people. Maybe. But who's going to take it seriously now? Who's going to take it seriously? Oh, good thing I put absinthe in this drink.
There we go. All right. So we're going to take a quick break, then a round of half full, half empty. Before we go, though, you have come to the end, dear listeners, of the last official day of All for All fundraiser. We've been counting down to a different kind of goal this time. It's all about your participation. We are not looking for a dollar amount. Any dollar amount will do. We want to hear from about 1,300 more marketplace investors. That is, of course, our fancy word for donors. Thank you, Stephanie Patterson, for coming up with that one. It's kind of good branding. Anyway, 1,300 more by the end of the day to meet our goal, which is 2,500. If you can give, please do.
Yes, we would really appreciate it because look, we're sitting here talking about the election and the economy. And as we say over and over again, the economy is always at the top of mind for most voters when it comes to the election. And so our job becomes especially important in an election year to help explain the economy, to raise the economic intelligence of Americans, to make everybody smarter about the economy. And the whole mission is powered by people like you and people like your friends who you will hopefully encourage to also listen to our show and donate to Marketplace, because we would appreciate that. You can go to marketplace.org/givesmart right now. We need you. And the link is going to be in the show note. But once again, marketplace.org/givesmart. And also we have cool swag. We'll be right back. The next swag item should be a Marketplace branded drink smoker. That's what it should be. Can we do that
I'm just going
with
to say,
fire?
I think that's a little niche. It's a little niche.
Yeah, okay,
little niche,
fine.
You know. Yeah.
All right, we're back. It's time to play a game of half full, half empty. We have a special guest host today. You all know him and love his voice, Marketplace tech producer Daniel Shin. Take it away, Daniel.
I am here. Hello. And first topic comes from Business Insider. Apparently, more career consultants are recommending a different method of getting a tech recruiter's attention while applying for a job there. Just contact the CEO directly. Are you half full or half empty on sliding into the executive DMs for that job?
Empty.
Well, so the email address of the CEO of American Public Media is Oh no, I'm just kidding. That would be the test to see if anybody in St. Paul is listening. Hello, St. Paul. That's a gutsy move. That's a big swing, and if you're going to do it, you got to win it. I'm fine if you want to, but there's some peril there.
I feel like, and I'll have to look it up and try to find it later, but there has been research to show that method only works for some people. So half empty, that is not a universally good strategy, and also could the risk of annoying someone and being blackballed, I think, is
risk is very high.
extraordinarily high. Yes,
Risk is
so
very high.
empty.
Yeah.
Thumbs down. All right. Second topic from Colorado Public Radio's Rebecca Tauber. Denver city government has apparently taken over sidewalk maintenance because apparently in most U.S. cities, property owners are the ones that take care of sidewalks, but Denver has changed that. They're basically getting property owners to fund the maintenance. The city does the rest. Are you half full or half empty on property owners paying for sidewalk upkeep?
Well, look, I'm all in favor of a good sidewalk. And I am thankful that I don't have a sidewalk out on the street outside my house. This is interesting. I don't know the answer to this. Should property
I'm
owners
going to
be
go
able to
half empty on individual homeowners maintaining sidewalks, only because like that has
They never do. Yeah.
been something historically used to like over penalize low income people. When if there's a crack in your sidewalk or it gets overgrown, and especially for like older people who maybe don't have the resources or the physicality to maintain it, even something, and think of all the like lawsuits that you can get caught up in for individuals. I think public infrastructure should be maintained by the public. I think sidewalks are a public good, especially accessible sidewalks, safe sidewalks. And so, yeah, I feel like that is something that should be maintained as a public good.
Yeah, I agree with that. Then you expressed it much better than I did, because I didn't. Yeah.
But I also like, did you grow up in like a urban setting or more of a rural suburban
No,
setting?
we were squarely in suburbia, Briarcliff Manor, New York. For those of you who know New York, Westchester.
So I grew up in the city, and like one of the things that we did, because there were 4 children in my household, is we would often, especially when there was a snowstorm, we would be sent out to shovel the sidewalks
shovel the
for
sidewalk. Oh.
older neighbors who couldn't physically do it.
Yeah,
And you could get sued if somebody slipped on your sidewalk and you hadn't, maintained it.
Yep.
And, that lives pretty strongly in my brain.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's a very good point. Totally. All right, Daniel.
Number 3 from Marketplace's Stephanie Hughes, a bit of a report on the practice of white labeling. This is where retailers basically buy a product from a manufacturer or off the shelf. They just slap their own label and their own price tag on it. Could be more expensive, could be more cheap. Are you half full or half empty on retailers white labeling products?
charming little story from Stephanie featuring her husband, by the way. It was a cute story and totally informative because I had never heard of white labeling. There's a little caveat emptor there, right? You got to do your comparison shopping and see what you get. But if the consumers can benefit from it, then fine. I'm half full.
I'm half empty. I've been scanned by this way too many times, where I, especially if I'm choosing to buy something based on the brand, which is rare but happens sometimes, I would like it to be that the brand actually made it. So that what's happening often is that the brand is kind of licensing out its label for that customer loyalty or that customer approval, and also I don't know, it just feels a little unjust to have the same product listed so many different prices in different places, and only if you have the time and energy and know the right websites to go to are you going to get the best price, which I don't like. So half empty. I'm like half empty on everything today.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, next one, earlier this week, Costco announced it's going to sell 1 ounce platinum bars worth over $1,000. That's not the first precious metal they sell to their customers, but are you half full or half empty on Costco selling platinum bars?
So they sell gold
they
too.
did well on gold.
Not full bar. Yeah. Why do you want a platinum? I mean, look,
I think this goes along with them selling like the prepper kits, which we had the story on as well.
Oh, yeah.
There are a lot of people in the prepper, what do you call it? The prepper like community
Community,
who are
yeah.
very big in having precious metals on standby. Look, people, to me, it's no different than people who want to spend, $1,000 on a purse. So you do you. Spend your money, half full.
Yeah, whatever you want to buy. What are you going to do with them? Whatever. Never. That's fine.
Keeps the economy going, sure.
Fair enough. Right. All right.
All right, time for
This
the
is the last
poll?
one, Daniel?
Last
Time for the
one
poll.
and the poll, I believe.
All right.
All right, let's get ready.
Let's go.
All right, YouTube chat. Toyota is investing another $500 million. That's for a total $894 million into tech startup Joby Aviation. This is to create commercial air taxis. You should look them up. They kind of cool, a combo of a small airplane and a quadcopter. Are you half full or half empty on flying taxis?
So I did, as part of our reporting for How We Survived this season on climate change and national security in the military that I've been reporting out for the past 5 or 6 months, I went to a Joby simulator and flew that simulator. It's super cool, and if it can work, it could really do amazing things. They've got a 60-something million dollar contract with the Air Force. They've now got $500 million from Toyota to bring Toyota's full investment to like $1 billion. It's a publicly traded company, ticker symbol JOBY. It's really interesting. It's all obviously electrical. I guess maybe not so obviously. It's pretty cool. I'm half full. I'm totally all the way full. It's really cool.
Help me understand this. It would be remotely piloted, or would
No,
they
no, no.
be
There's
autopiloted?
No, there's a pilot in there and 4 seats, maybe 5 passenger seats. It's the size of a smallish minivan, largish crossover SUV, 6 rotors on top. Electrical, silent, got about a 100-mile range. And if it works out, it would change that last mile, challenge that a lot of transportation systems have drastically. It's really cool. It's amazing.
So this would replace helicopters for the most part.
Sure. Yeah. It's not going to replace a 737 going from LAX to Dulles, right? It's 100 miles, short delivery, air taxi service, some kind of logistics thing, military applications, which is why it's got that big Air Force contract for
And maybe it won't
logistics
make
in
as much
theater.
noise as this helicopter.
Definitely does Definitely does not make a lot of noise. We had a whole noise thing in that episode, which aired on Marketplace 2 weeks ago, I guess. Yeah. Anyway, it's cool. I'm half full.
So I'm going to go half full for the medical applications. If this can make it easier and cheaper to do medical evacuations, and especially since there are fewer hospitals in rural areas with like emergency care and things like this, I can see this technology being deployed, especially if it ends up being cheaper than like a helicopter flight, being a really good way to, expand service for folks like that. So, oh yeah, Margie Klitsch says in the chat, transportation of organs. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Stephanie Moore Fuller, by the way, I've tried to be hired at Joby a couple of times, but never got anywhere. I'm a mechanical engineer. Well, Stephanie, they've got $500 million to play with, so maybe there's hope.
Stephanie, maybe you should DM the CEO and tell him that Kai sent you.
Use my name. Tell him you heard about him on the podcast. So the poll, 155 votes, 65% are half full, 34% of you are half empty. Not sure how I feel about that. I mean, okay.
Well, they must not have listened to your story, so they'll have to go back
Maybe.
and listen, and then I'm sure they'll be all the way full.
There you go.
Okay, that is it for us today. We will be back on Monday. I'm sorry that y'all haven't seen the cat. He's got the zoomies and is just causing chaos downstairs. In the meantime, you can send us your comments, your questions, your suggestions. You know where to reach us. Make me smart at marketplace.org, or you can leave us a voicemail at 508-UB-SMART. This drink was much better smoked.
Good. Make Me Smart is produced by Courtney Berg-Seeger. Today's episode was engineered by Charlton Thorpe.
The team behind our Friday game is Emily McCune, Jamila Huxtable, and Antoinette Brock. Marissa Cabrera is our senior producer, and Bridget Bodnar is the director of podcasts. And of course, Francesca Levy is the executive director of digital and on demand.